But co-regulation doesn't work. I tried to co-regulate with my child, but they just don't calm down. If you've ever said that, you're probably thinking about regulation and co-regulation as a tool, as opposed to a process that happens between people. Now, that process is going to look different between two adults than it looks between adult and child. And here's what you need to know. When you have two adults, okay, two grown people, they both take equal responsibility for the emotional tenor of the exchange. Okay, so if this one's feeling sad, they're going to transmit that sad to here. And if this one's feeling happy, they're going to send that happy over here. And they're going to feel each other's feels and be equally responsible for the emotional exchange. It is bi-directional. You know what that means? That means we both contribute. Right? So think about yourself. If you went into a room and your best friend was crying on the floor, you'd probably bend down, bi-directional, and say, oh my gosh, what's going on? You might put your arm around them, but you're not going to leap in there, even if you just won $1 million in the lottery and say, oh, I won $1 million if they're crying on the floor. Because you know, like that, those two things don't match. So you're going to work to bring them up so that you can bring them down. So we both do this. You even do this with like the grocer at the grocery store, okay? Now, kids, it's a different story. So if you have a parent and their child, and you're trying to parent with co-regulation front of mind, you, dear parent, this purple parent is going to take an increased responsibility for the tone, for how it feels, for the emotional tenor, okay? So the lines go like this. Now, many of you tell me that it feels like your child's manipulating you, or it feels like they're hijacking your emotions. You're taking on their feelings. But guys, this is a child. You are an adult. You take the responsibility, okay? So we're not going to let this happen. If your child is screaming, yelling, crying, being otherwise difficult, you do not also start screaming, crying, yelling. You imagine that you are on the other side of a teeter-totter, and if your child is way escalated, you're going to whisper down here. That is taking increased responsibility for the co-regulated exchange. Okay, so I'm not going to participate with my child in the escalation. So frequently we get stuck in this. Now, if you find yourself taking on your child's energy, this has happened to me before, then I'm going to stop, put my hand on my heart and my hand on my tummy. I'm going to take a, and now is the time to slow it down so that you move back into taking this increased responsibility for the tone. Okay? If they're screaming, I'm going to hold myself accountable. If they're running away, I'm going to hold myself accountable. If this one is fighting with another one, guess who's accountable? And the reason you're accountable is because when you co-regulate with your child, who is so attuned to feel whatever you're feeling, biologically so, you lend them your nervous system. If the nervous system you're giving them is escalated because you felt their feelings and took it on and started acting like a child too, guess how they're going to feel? Escalated. If you need help figuring out how to take this increased responsibility for the emotional tenor of every single exchange, I know it's a lot of work, then I want you to DM me or comment Regulation 1. I will send you my recent masterclass all about co-regulation.